It's time to talk about the Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, Dave Stewart miniseries Primordial. This is the team that brought me, brought all of us my favorite comic book of all time. I'm happy to say that now. I've sat on it long enough. This is the team that brought us. Did they do anything else besides Gideon Falls, or is this the second thing they've done since Gideon Falls?
Oh, they did Old Man Logan
Old Man Logan, yes, yes. But Old Man Logan was before or during Gideon Falls?
before.
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 So
Back
the
when
art
Jeff Lemire
look,
had to do his grunt Marvel work. I'm just kidding.
the art will look very similar. Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart definitely have a style, but of course it's not quite as dark and brooding and strange as Gideon Falls. The thing that they brought over,
Still strange.
Still strange. But the thing that they brought over that I really love is, and I think Sorrentino does this better than anybody else, or I guess Sorrentino and Stewart. I don't know who's more involved in this, but they do not adhere to the typical panel structure of a page.
No, they do not.
I really love that. Some of my favorite pages ever were in Gideon Falls when Sorrentino was just going wild with how he was laying out story arcs. But yeah, so this is like I said, Primordial, the 6-issue or 5-issue miniseries.
It's
I think
6-issue miniseries.
Do you want me to run down the plot, or do you?
Sure,
feel...
you got it. No,
I shouldn't even have given you the chance.
You got it for once. You always make me do it.
That's not true. Listeners, go back and check the tapes.
I think they're gonna come back
I'll
and
come
be
back
like,
on top.
they're gonna
I know
know
I
that.
will. All right,
That's
so
my job.
basically
I'm the
Primordial...
fast talking, annoying one. That's the entire bit behind the podcast. Who gets mad about stupid shit?
Primordial is the story of basically what happened after the Soviet Union and America launched the animals into space. Well-known story, obviously.
We killed monkeys.
Yeah, we did. I mean, listen, before we launched humans into space,
We killed humans too.
that one was by accident, though. Still the
that's
most
true.
fucked up seated first man. Oh my god,
so good, though.
I know it's coming every time, and I'm like, God,
Ugh,
it's rough.
it's
But
scary.
yeah, so basically Abel and Laika, the names of the dog and the monkey, and I can't remember the third monkey's name. Do you remember?
Is it you? Wait, it was not Abe, right? You said Abe.
The Abel and Laika are the two that I remember.
Oh, I
There's
don't
a
remember
third
the other
monkey
one.
there. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Basically, there
How
are
dare
two
you.
different parallel storylines going on. The dog and the monkeys, I guess, achieving sentience. I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the fucking monkey had
Sentience, because
Yeah.
he's been there longer than the dog had been.
Yes, and Abel is too sweet. I hate looking at her face. She's fucking adorable.
And
As the animal lover on the podcast.
I'm going to ask you this afterward. Back in the 1961 back in the other timeline is back in 1961 West and East Berlin. We've got an American scientist and a German scientist or Russian. I'm unclear about where she's from, but they are teaming up to try to communicate with said animals. And they eventually successfully communicate with them. And the animals use that communication to find their way back through space and time
Yep.
to Earth. And then the book ends,
Yep.
which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the plot of this very weird Jeff Lemire book. I'll say it up front. Not a fan.
No.
Rare from Jeff Lemire and rare from the team that brought me, like I said, quite literally my favorite comic book of all time.
Well, I gotta say this: the art is not what's wrong with the book.
Nope.
I think
It's
the
just not
art. So
Andrea
I'm not
Sorrentino
gonna.
and Dave
I'm not
Stewart's
gonna
fault.
say the team. I'm just gonna say this wasn't a good story.
Well, let me ask you this: is this a more compelling story? Because, like, as you just said, of the two of us, you definitely like dogs more than I do.
Yes.
And I kept thinking, because the bullet of this book, basically the last page, last frame of this, is a woman hugging her dog that she hasn't seen for 50 years. And I kept thinking, I wonder if this is poignant, because me personally, obviously, I did not care.
I thought it was nice. I
But
don't.
is it
It
nice
was
enough to make up for the fact that this story doesn't make any
no.
sense?
I just said I thought it was nice. No. I don't think it was a good story. I think it's to me personally. I was just more like it's gonna really fuck me up when Jeff Lemire kills this old woman before the dog can get to. I'm like it's gonna fuck. I'm like for more. I'm just like oh thank God he didn't
Well,
like just.
instead, he killed the one black person in this book.
Yeah, but he died in the '60s. A lot of black people died in the '60s.
He said a lot of black people died in the 60s.
That
Why
was
does
the
that make it any better?
no, it doesn't. I'm just saying. I'm not saying
Um,
it's okay. The only reason he died was for a cliffhanger. I'm not saying the story was good, Jay.
I'm genuinely confused about what.
Because I thought maybe the aliens were gonna be a bigger difference or some kind of shit. But
You
it's
say
just
the aliens. Do we ever see any
I
aliens?
don't know. I thought there would be they don't explain anything. It's just like the animals are in space. They're on some weird funky spaceship and they make it back to Earth where and then yeah. I don't know, man.
It is.
Was this Jeff Lemire more apologizing to the animals? I think that might have been what it is.
Well, so, okay. I'll give you guys a little bit of a insight to my life recently. I just went to a cake tasting for a friend's wedding coming up. A beloved friend. And his fiance is very cool. Like her a lot. But her friends and I have basically nothing in common. So at this cake tasting, I basically just sat in the corner for 5 hours and they talked about dogs quite literally nonstop for the entire time. And I just thought like people love dogs way more than I ever will even comprehend. And
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a book that just works if you love dogs. I mean, so people who are watching the YouTube video will see on their screen right now, I have the last page up. This is literally the end of the book. It fades to white as a woman hugs her dog and says home. They have this like, basically they threw a poster on the second to last page of like a very different style of art with her hugging her dog.
I like the composition
That's
of it.
the end of the book. I love the art in this.
I love the composition of it. I like the idea behind it. I just thought that like a lot of the stuff in the middle just didn't make it land as hard.
Every time we're on the spaceship, my brain turned off. I don't understand what's going on.
I think they
just keep
should
saying, "Are you happy to each other?" It's very boring.
Yeah, and it's like that book. Did you ever read We Three?
I tried.
Yeah, it's the same.
I think I read an issue.
So I think this to me is a better version of We Three. We Three is this weird ass comic book guys where Grant Morrison wrote about some aliens in some giant robot suits. I can't even remember. I just remember it was fucking weird.
It also doesn't help that the art is just way, way worse than this. Like the
Oh, is
art
it Frank Whiteley?
Yes, yeah.
I don't like Frank Whiteley. I
Well, it's
don't
also
his
like
art.
I just old comic book art's not as good.
It's just I don't think he's that good at art. It's too veiny. It wouldn't make sense. You guys look it up. It's
Also, the colors are just dog shit in that book. I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think there's something going on here that we're at least not privy to. Maybe.
I don't even know that. I mean, I'm a fucking huge animal lover, and I'm like, I love dogs, and I was like, I like the character, where I like the whole point about the character, like in the middle issues where she's like talking about the dog and like all this shit like that. I'm like, I like that part. Like this is like okay, she's building up as a character. I like her some more, and I kind of feel like they didn't know what they were doing for the last 2 to 3 issues. And I think
more than that. I think the first issue works because the first issue was entirely set in 1960s West Germany, and this story is good if it's set in 1960s West Germany.
I think if anything, we shouldn't even have seen the old woman until like the last 4 pages. I think we should have left it very ambiguous about what year it is, and then you could have just ended on them embracing again. I think to me at least it would be more like, yo, who's this old woman? And then the dog remembers her, and then the audience is like, oh, okay. At least
It's
to
also,
me.
I guess it's also at the end of this, at the end of the 6 issues, I honestly don't even understand what the motivation is of the story. We send the animals into space,
And
and
the
then we get
animals
the
want to
animals
come back. Yeah.
Is that the whole narrative? We don't find out who
It's homeward bound in fucking space basically, and I don't like Homeward Bound, but I think someone likes Homeward Bound, and people who like Homeward Bound maybe like this book.
There's a lot of hints to like insidious organizations that we never find out about.
I want to know about the aliens.
Yeah, like I said, there's aliens that are definitely referenced and because we find out in the first issue that something took the animals.
Yeah.
Something not they got lost. Something took them. So there are aliens supposed.
I
to be
was
somewhere.
expecting some kind of dog alien to be like, now we're gonna take over Earth using your knowledge, and I kind of was like, okay, cool, let's do dog aliens, or like, I thought the woman was gonna die, and then maybe the last issue would be the animals going on a rampage with a giant spaceship thing. I think that's how We Three ends, honestly.
It's very rare. I
don't
mean,
like
this
We3.
is the second book I think we've read from Jeff Lemire that I haven't liked.
It's like out of fucking like 30 though.
Yeah. No, it's just Jeff Lemire is still the patron saint of the
Yeah.
podcast. Don't get
Like-
us wrong. Don't get us
like
wrong.
this like
But-
this is why we don't play favorites. This is the case.
well, I also think I think I don't know. It's not interesting for us to lie about if this is good or not. It's not good, and it's not good in a way that I don't really understand how you fuck this up this way. It's so scattered. The story is three different incomplete stories.
It just feels like something that like it would they like Image came to him and they're like, you guys do something for us? And you guys like, okay, here's a 6-issue miniseries. Probably that's what it kind of
That's the
felt
other thing.
like
It's
to me.
such a missed opportunity. What a weird follow up to a book that went on for 3 years is how long, or at least it spanned, I think, 3 different years. I don't know if it was 3 full years. And the first follow up is a 6-issue miniseries that I think is a good opportunity to take this team and deliver something really bite sized and satisfying. And I love the setting of it. I think the setting is really cool. Like I said, if this entire book existed in 1960s East and West Berlin, and we're talking about the fall of the USSR and all that stuff, I think this book works a lot. I also love the idea that it's surrounding the murky history of the space programs, both the American and the Russian space programs.
Yeah.
That's another mine that's ripe for plundering. But he basically took the least interesting part about it, which is like animals get launched into space, and then he based it's, you know what it is, you know what it feels like. You ever did one of those creative writing classes where they give you a prompt and it would be something that was very random intentionally, and you have to write a story around the prompt?
Yeah,
That's what it seems like. Somebody gave Jeff Lemire the prompt, what happened to the animals launched into space, and then he gave us this random story to answer that question.
But I feel like that would be a very fun like creative writing like idea though. It just kind of feels like this was like it's Homeward Bound in space. That's all it is. And I don't know. I'm an animal lover and all that shit like that, but I just didn't really get it. Jay, should we send the folks out?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about Primordial.
Wanna keep on
I'm
dunking on
very
Primordial,
disappointed.
Jay?
It's kind of a bummer.
Don't read Primordial. Read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Read Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, and read New Bird.
And read Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin.
Yes, that's the most
what we'll be
important
talking
one.
about next week. So don't forget to tune in there. Also, 4 that.